Hi, this is Matthew Park with the YLOC. This is the 7th grade Lesson 19 Math Preview video. Let's get started with number 1. Armagnac spent 3 hours walking from his home to the nearby lake. If the distance from Armagnac's home to the lake is 5.4 miles, what was his average speed, or miles per hour? Well, this problem asks for average speed, which they define as miles per hours. In addition, we're given a certain number of hours and a certain number of miles. So if we know that average speed is miles over hours, all we need to do to find the average speed of Armagnac's walk is to put the number of miles he walked from his house to the lake, which is 5.4, over the amount of time or hours he spent walking, which would be 3 hours. And this would give us the average speed. So if we simplify this fraction, or divide the numbers out, we have 5.4 divided by 3. Solving this, we get 1.8, making our answer B for number 1. Moving on. For number 2, complete the multiplication sentence below and mark the correct answer. We have 5 times some number is equal to 3.75. Well, in other words, we could treat this as an equation. Let's make the unknown number y. So we have 5 times y is equal to 3.75. Now we have a simple algebraic equation, and all we want to do is solve for y. To do that, we divide 5 on both sides, and we get y is equal, and we can simplify what 3 divided by 5. 3.75 divided by 5 is, dividing that out, we get 0.75 is equal to y, or the unknown number, making our answer C for this one. Moving on, let's look at number 5. Complete the division sentence below and mark the correct answer. 112.5 divided by, again, some number, this time let's make it x, is equal to 9. Now if x is our unknown number, all we have to do is solve for x, or in this case, solve our simple algebraic equation. To get x by itself, all we need to do is multiply both sides by 112.5. Ooh, my mistake. One way to relook at this is that 112.5 divided by x, we could rewrite that in fraction form. Instead of that, we would get 112.5 over x. This fraction form and the division form up here are the same thing. So now to solve for x in this equation, what we have to do is first multiply x on both sides. Those would cancel out, and we get 112.5 is equal to 9x. Now to isolate x, all we do is divide both sides by 9. And if we do that division, let's see what we will get. We end up getting 12.5 is equal to x. So our answer would be D. The key point for this one is that if you're going to use the strategy of making a simple algebraic equation, instead of doing 112.5 divided by x, you want to rewrite it as a fraction form so we can easily solve the equation. Because now we know to multiply both sides by x. Let's move on. We can do one of these. Let's look at number 1. Find the x-intercept and the y-intercept of the graph in the equation. So they want us to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. In other words, this equation represents a line on a graph. Say, a line like that. And when they're asking for the x-intercept, and the y-intercept, they're asking for where this line will intercept the y-axis, or say at this green dot, and the x-axis at this blue dot. So pretty much it's just asking where this line represented by each of these equations will hit or intersect the y-axis and the x-axis. And to solve for that, the process is pretty simple. To solve for the x-intercept, all we have to do is set y in the equation equal to 0. So if we go ahead and do that, we have 5x minus 0, because we're setting y equal to 0 to solve for the x-intercept. And we just solve this resulting equation for x. Minus 0, we can just delete that as it means nothing. So we have 5x is equal to 35. We divide both sides by 5, and we see that x is equal to 7, meaning that the value of x at which this line represented by the graph would be at 7. So say this line is the one represented by 5x minus y. It would intercept this x-axis at 7. And we want to write our x and y intercepts in a coordinate form. So we would write 7, 0. And it's essentially the same process for the y-intercept, but this time we set x equal to 0. So if we go ahead and do that, we have 5 times 0 minus y equals 35. Well, 5 times 0 would just be 0, and now we have negative y equals 35. We want y to be positive, so we just move that negative sign over by multiplying both sides by negative 1. Now we get y is equal to negative 35, and that is the y value at which this line will intercept the y-axis. So we want to write it as a coordinate, and we get negative 35, we get 0, negative 35. And you can try these 4 problems on your own. I hope this was helpful, and thank you.